Great, we're live. Today is December 17th, and this is our fortnightly design meeting. Before we jump into the agenda or any other exciting issues worth talking about, let's go around and do some introductions. I'll go ahead and start. My name is Jen Lampton, and I'm joining from Oakland, California. I don't have anything super design related this week, but I'm looking forward to talking about theme stuff. Let's see. Tim, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name is Tim Erickson, St. Paul Tim. I'm coming to you from Deerwood, Minnesota. And yeah, I don't know. I've been slowly getting into the issue queue more this week for 1.18 and hope everybody else can get in and help us finish things up. Phil.
I'm Phil Ward out of Wichita, Kansas. I don't have anything specific to discuss today. Just kind of wanted to join and see if maybe I can throw out some ideas or see where I can help. Let's go to Luke.
All right. I'm Luke McCormick, coming to you from San Ramon, California. And I've done all sorts of design kind of things this week. So I'm find myself in the thick of it. I'll talk about it later, but I did some theming and face-to-face with all sorts of things I don't know, and that I want to share my lack of knowledge and see if I can fill that in some. Greg?
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm joining usually from Australia, now from Greece. I'm interested in anything in backdrop, so I'm here to help in any way I can. And I think then you went right. Everyone did. Right, cool.
Joseph?
I didn't.
Joseph.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Joseph. I'm from Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm mostly a backend developer, but helping out where I can.
Great.
So Jen, we don't have the little emoji or the little like clap things for this room, or the thumbs up, which don't worry about it.
That's something I can enable in a meeting.
But yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay. I think I might have to do it at like the account level.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Okay.
I seem to have them.
Oh, do you?
Actions.
Do you see a face of a clap?
No.
No? It's not
I don't.
visible?
No.
I'm seeing it on my screen, but I guess it's not showing up on everybody else's, huh?
Weird.
I see it on yours.
I see it.
I wonder if it's my the Linux app or something.
Yeah.
So maybe it's just me.
Okay, so right before we started the video, we had already jumped into theme initiative update exciting stuff. So I don't know, Luke, if you want to get back into that, or if we should switch to Phil's suggestion, or where we want to start.
I have a bunch of stuff, but I fear that it might hijack the whole thing. So I'd rather get something else in first, just to establish the rhythm of the meeting, and then I'll come around to that.
Kind of my thoughts too. We can hold on to my thoughts till later.
Okay, I'll just move the theme initiative stuff to the bottom. Do we want to run through open usability and design issues for Backdrop Core? I'm not sure how many of these are urgent that we need to talk about, but I know there's been updates on some stuff.
Yeah. There's the icons thing for the structure menu item in the admin bar and the sorting icons for the tables. They're not urgent. I just would like to get them out of the way. Feedback mostly.
Do you have few numbers for those?
Oh, I'll get them. Yeah, sure. Just bear with me.
I can drop them in here.
And I'll put them in the agenda. Yeah.
That'd be great.
Yeah, and I mean, you'll be getting some feedback on them, right? So it's like, what's the next step? I've noticed that the move clear log messages issue has been getting some posts, but I think largely PW Panda has summarized it and it's waiting for intervention from the PMC.
Has that made it to PMC queue yet?
No, it has not. Nobody's actually moved it there yet, but the discussion in the issue queue is that that's the expectation.
Yeah, I did think he did a really good job of summarizing current state of things after the last meeting.
Yeah.
That's great.
And of the other issues that are on the agenda, I don't know that I've seen much activity in the last week, other than maybe Gregory's, the ones he's adding now.
Greg did some work on the updates pages.
Yeah,
So,
but is that on here? Oh, no.
yeah.
Oh, there it is. Thank you. What's the status of that?
Don't know.
Haven't touched that in some time. Just bear with me.
Oh, the one on our agenda is not. I think he's doing a related issue. This one hasn't been updated since September 10th.
Yeah.
He's working on the one about combining, I think.
Well, the 4575 last comment was by you, Jen, asking what's the difference between this issue and 3132, which got merged. So the previous 3132 was about sorting, making things bubble up when they have security updates, and then keeping the ones that don't have updates lower in the list. Whereas 4575 is about having both disabled and enabled, sections.
Okay.
So you have core modules, themes, layouts, disabled themes, disabled modules, disabled layouts. So too many categories there, split into various sections. So I was thinking that perhaps we could merge all these things together and have sorting filters. Like maybe keep the modules, themes, layouts grouping, but not the disabled, enabled things.
Interesting. So I think we have this problem a couple of places in core where we have interfaces that would be nice to be able to sort, but most of the sorting tools that we have in core are for running database queries. And a lot of these user facing like informational pages don't have anything in the database to query. They're just pulling like PHP values or stuff like this. Module status is a collection of various different things. But so it looks to me like what we need is like a front end sorting tool where if we have a table on the page, we could use JavaScript to sort the table in various different ways.
Yep.
And I think that's come up in a couple of different places. So I don't know if this is the issue to start that or not, but it does seem like we keep hitting this roadblock where we're like, that's not really something we can sort right now.
Yeah, I think that we have an issue for that. I'll try to locate it. One about, it was called Instant Filter, I think. There's a module that's called Instant Filter in Drop 7, which was doing that as like in a generic form. And we have an issue to implement something generic that works both in database queries and tables so that people can reuse that code instead of,
Yeah, we're using the code from Instant Filter on the modules page right now. And that code is very specific to the modules page. And then Instant Filter also had some code that's very specific for the permissions page that we have an issue where we want to include. And I think there are some people who are trying to argue for a generic solution, but I think Nate's response was like, if you put in a generic solution, you get solutions that are thousands of lines of code. If you do these specific ones, it's like 100 in each place. And so his argument is like, rather than having a ton of front end JavaScript that is just glue code, we should just write what we need. And I
Yeah,
think that that would make sense if we had more people who could just write what we need for us, but we don't have a lot of JavaScript core developers working on stuff. And so
Is
they don't go very, very quickly.
so
is instant filter like a library that we're loading and then using it to actually do the filtering?
No, Instant Filter is the name of a contrib module for Drupal 7 that includes custom scripts for the modules page and the permissions page. And we have used the custom script for the module page on Backdrop's modules page, adapted it slightly to account for the new behavior of our modules page, so it can search the titles and descriptions and machine names and stuff. And then the other issue was just to try and do the same thing for the custom script for the permissions page. And I think that one got roadblocked by this idea of maybe we should have something more generic that is a library that could be used in other places. But Instant Filter is not.
so the meta issue for that is 503, one of the good ones.
It's an oldie.
Yeah, which says it's titled "Provide an instant search filter UI interface pattern for lifting pages and enhance existing ones." So that's it. Should we add that in the agenda somewhere? Just doesn't.
I would just link it to the other issue you had about sorting the updates page, just so that we know all of the places that could benefit from.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so 503 is linked to from the available updates page, like in the issue summary. The opposite is not happening, so I'm just gonna cross-link it.
Okay, great.
Cool.
Wondering if any of these have. So a handful of these user experience issues are marked needs more feedback too.
I have a topic which could be fairly short.
Okay, go ahead.
And it raises a couple of different process questions. So we have, it's largely contrib, although there may be a core component to it. Joseph and I have worked on this configurable block style module, which lets you do some custom things to blocks. One of the things that actually Luke was asking me about recently was the ability, we can put in core, we have the ability to create a hero block with a background image. And he wanted to put kind of a hero image behind a region, or put an image behind a region, a background. And so a couple of things, one of which I thought having something like a configurable regions module, contrib module would be nice. And is it appropriate to just use the backdrop ops contrib issue queue to like suggest new modules, not just ports?
Yeah. There's a label there for idea.
Okay, is there? So I just put a stub in there for this idea for this contrib module, but I thought it would be a good chance to just sort of ask about if that seems like it's a common use case, if other people see a value in that. One of the use cases was the ability to just create a landing page which just has an image behind the entire page, right? Sometimes if you land at a website, there's just an image there, and then with some text over it and navigation inside to the site. And if we really what we need to be able to do is put a custom theme could do this, but if we had the ability to put a background image on a region, that feels like it would be a helpful thing. I'm just wondering if other people agree. And it could be a contrib module that does that.
I definitely think it's a great use case. I've seen a lot of sites that do that. I would love to see it as a contrib module. I think
Right, or like a whole custom layout at that point.
Yeah. But I think that having a region background image is a good starting place.
Well,
Okay.
since I seeded this for better or worse, I don't know how common what I want to do is. It might be common, it might not be. Like I honestly don't know. But I was approaching it from the perspective of for this particular site I'm doing is for a rock band that I used to be the poster artist for. So I basically designed a poster for it, and then I just went to translate that poster into a website, at least the front of it, and just like get that visual image across. And so just abandoning every web, it's just a click through. It's just an interstitial. Like I want to show the people come in this image, and then move them off to the site after they admire the image. And I don't know if it certainly went out of fashion in web design in the mid 90s. the idea of, interstitial, splash pages, but nevertheless, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
So
Hey, it's still very popular in the video game realm.
Yeah. All right. So I was just curious. What's the easiest way to do it? What's the way to just kind of get rid of all the web stuff? Just show me something, and
there's a module
about
called
later.
Splash or something in Drupal that could be ported if you're looking for splash screens.
Oh, would that do that?
Maybe that's why.
Let me find it.
So you just want a page that is essentially an image with some text centered on it and nothing else.
Pretty much. Although, I mean, kind of the generalization of it is that you have websites that have very, very limited specific functionality, and this might tie in with Phil's idea of like games of where you don't have a lot of content. It's mostly,
It's graphical, a lot of graphics. Yeah.
Yeah.
Imagery.
And
I think.
So rather than make it, if the imagery is like the primary thing that you're selling, you don't really want to like box away and have it be sort of a subset just sitting in a computer program. You want to let it take over as much of the experience as you can. I mean, that's sort of my thought there. Create a game. Can you create a game in Backdrop? Like, that would be sort of the use case. How much could you take over your real estate?
Well, I think there's a broader use case for this sort of a background image on a region, and that is if you just want to have a region with a background image in more than one block, right? We have this ability to create a hero block with a background image, but you can't add a second block to it. So if we could do a region, I think that would be, it might not be the entire page, but that would be really flexible. So anyways. We don't need to solve this. If you open a new issue in the Backdrop ops contrib, there is not like a new idea option. There's bug squad, application maintainer change request, port status, and security team. So
Those are templates though, right?
Right.
Yeah, there's a label.
Okay. But if I, like when I open this up with the idea of adding a new a module suggestion, it's like, well, which template do I use? None of them are appropriate. So.
Do you think we should add a new template for that?
Maybe.
Might be helpful for others.
We could just have a general one. It wouldn't have to be specific. It could be other, like just anything else.
Yeah, don't they have so this might be a GitHub thing, but don't they have a link at the bottom of the list that says open a regular issue?
It does. It's so small, I didn't even notice it.
Yeah, it's really tiny.
Yeah. So maybe maybe we don't need to do anything. I was just observing that.
Well, that might be helpful in every queue where we have templates because if everybody misses that.
Right. It's like I looked through this and I'm like, well, my category doesn't fit. What do I do?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to open a request for a module or a theme that does that, and keep thinking about it. Joseph and I talked about, could we just sort of modify the the contrib block style module to be a sort of a configurable block style to be configurable region style. And he thinks that, speaking for you, Joseph, that there might be, core might not support that right now, the way we did it, at least. I'm sure there are ways we could do it, but
Right.
anyways.
I was actually thinking about how we could do this without making a bunch of changes to core.
Yeah.
And something that came up to me was Doc Wilmot's idea for auto completing the class field.
Okay.
It's basically lets you put CSS classes in there and then defining somewhere like an array of options that would be there.
Okay.
But I think that that would be a bit more complicated than what you were thinking.
Wes wrote a module that does that alters the block form to provide a list of classes that come from the theme.
Mhm.
So that might be
Right. Yeah, I was thinking of something more generic that would allow you to do it, because we have that class field on regions, blocks, fields, views, like all kinds of things.
Yeah, I think he did it for views too, but it could be a good starting point if we wanted to make that into something generic.
Somebody's got some background noise.
Yeah.
That might be my Rubik's Cube.
It might be.
I'm not sure if this is design. It might be core, but it touches the design issue. Like, so Luke has created a collection of sub things, and there's the issue of how if there's no main.info file in the collection of projects, then what gets picked up by core is the first .info file found in those subfolders. And we do not have any such precedent aside from the Radix layout collection of layout templates. But then, Luke, you said that you might add the actual theme that you're subtheming from as like part of the main thing in that collection. I don't think it's a good idea, because then you would need to keep updating it as the other project that gets updated.
Yeah, there's a danger to forking things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, Luke wants, I think we want to talk more about what he did. This ties into that. I mean, right now, doesn't Backdrop just treat that as a collection of, doesn't it treat them as a whole bunch of themes? I mean, when you say it only reads the first .info file, I mean, I've installed that and like I can see all of the themes. I just dropped that folder into the themes folder. So I have a folder with all of these sub-themes in it.
I think the problem is how it gets handled on backdropcms.org.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Because it'll have just a single project listing. What you could do to get around that is like just a workaround is have like a shell theme that is purely in there to be the base of that project.
It does nothing.
Yeah, I thought about that, or I could just, whichever one it picks first, add to that info file, enough information about everything else.
I mean, I don't have an info file in the base thing that is so that it will be the first one picked up.
Yeah.
So isn't another question, just is that the best way to handle this? Do we want all those sub-themes developed? I mean, do we want, does it make sense to have a collection of 20 themes?
Yeah, well,
which is basically what these are.
Yeah.
How does the boot swatch theme in Drupal work? Do you guys remember?
The boot swatch. Well, there's no boot swatch theme in Drupal. There's the bootstrap theme, which has a settings file that lets you pick any of the boot swatch themes. So
that works there.
That what?
Does that work there? So ours doesn't work. Our version doesn't work. Is that it?
No, it's been fixed actually. Who fixed it this week? But in any case, I wanted to be able. Even if we had that for kind of the ready to wear concept, like where I wanted to see these things with things like dark backgrounds and different fonts and like kind of a lot of what I've been talking about. Sort of the easily accessible visual changes. I wanted to be able to put them in Switch theme. And so it's basically a repackaging of this feature that's in Bootstrap, and this very powerful feature that's just kind of hidden, right? Like it's not it's not very accessible to the people that most need it.
And also,
and so I wanted to just elevate it. It was mostly a user interface thing. It was mostly to get it so that the previews and being able to choose it, bubbled up higher to the top, so that you could just pick it and use it and be done with it.
yeah, one thing is that that lives in Bootstrap as a setting, like in the settings page, and we cannot expose the settings page via the Switch theme. So this is a workaround to that, right? Basically.
Sure.
Among
Well,
other things, yeah.
I suppose the other problem it solves, though, is that if you're a site builder looking for a theme and you see Bootstrap Lite, you're going to see a theme framework. You're not going to see that it has all of these colorful options in there. And so what I think Luke is trying to do is expose the fact to somebody who's just looking for a theme that we have these Bootstrap Swatch themes available. You could just either download them individually or as a package. That it might be able to be that we could highlight that better in the description of the Bootstrap Lite theme. Maybe if the README or the theme page better highlighted them.
I threw some links in the Zulip channel about how Bootswatch is handled with the Radix theme in Drupal.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really easy to work with from a front-end developer perspective, like tying the Bootswatch stuff into the Bootstrap stuff, but it is very developer focused in terms of how you put it together. And I think I would want the same ease of integration for Backdrop, but with a user interface.
Sure.
Could be an interesting comparison.
So I mean, it's funny, David. This was occurring to me. I had kind of a eureka moment the other day. I woke up like, oh my god, I could just make sub themes of all those Bootswatch things, and that would solve this problem. And so it has kind of a funny element to it in that it's obviously not, dramatically new functionality. It's a repackaging of old functionality. So I want to be very sensitive to not claim credit for work that's not my own, for example, and make sure, my sort of usable thought for this is if you don't know what you're doing, use these, try them on, enjoy, and have it filled with links to like where it comes from. Make sure the credit's going. Make sure it's like, look, if you understand what SaaS is and how to work with those things, and then this probably isn't for you. You want to go to actual
right,
Bootstrap and use the options things and pull up the variables into your environment and do that stuff. Like I wouldn't want to fork it. And in fact, my thought about forking Bootstrap to have a piece in it was just to like remove those options, to remove the CDN stuff, to remove the SaaS thing, to just strip it down so that it's only this choice of themes. With if this is a dead end for you, here's how to get out of the dead end. Don't expand this. Download the full expandable, customizable version. But I don't know, like is that cool to do? It seemed to be a little bit uncharted social territory. I wasn't quite sure if that would go over well. What do you guys think?
So from my experience of doing the bootstrap and looking through the themes, if I've got a website that somebody just wants a website, they don't really care how it looks, they just want it to be functional. Pulling this type of a thing in is really nice because I could just point, click, choose something that kind of fits their business atmosphere and call it good, just be done with it. I don't have to spend the next 25 hours trying to come up with a custom theme that, is going to fit their environment. So yeah, no, I mean, I do personally, I've used those types of things. And I think trying to have some kind of sub themes that point and click, you get to choose which one you like. And, it's all based on the primary theme. I like it. I mean, I've used it. It's not on every single site, but I think the more that we can incorporate that type of a deal in with Backdrop, the less we're going to run into these one-off custom themes that they look great in the picture, but then when you actually put them onto your website, you realize, man, this thing is stupid buggy, and all the work went into their own particular environment. And so it just does not fit my environment. You know what? I'm going to have to pull in Bootstrap and do this thing from scratch because there literally is nothing out there that's going to, I can spend more time trying to find a theme that works than just doing it from scratch. So I think, having something that changes a few of the elements here and there I think it's a good approach. I like it. I think more people would appreciate that type of thing. It does get us into kind of that territory of, kind of everybody's pigeonholed and nothing's custom, but when you need something quick and dirty and, it looks good, it's good enough, those work great.
Yeah. I mean, and part of it is also just to get, MVP out so that you can look for features for the next, for future enhancements. And I think, as I do this, the general case jumps out at me, and I think, oh, well, all I'm doing is like choosing colors and choosing fonts. Why don't we just like have a thing that lets you choose colors and choose fonts? And it's like, well, that's a development project, and I can't do that in 2 hours like I did this, right? So this is kind of like a prototype for what would be nice later on, in a sense. Trying to establish the needs, establish the market, basically.
Well, Luke, the alternative right now that you could do today is in Basis, is you can use the color module to pick color schemes. And if you had the Google Fonts or whichever module enabled, you could actually pick a custom font. It wouldn't be prepackaged, like the Bootswatch thing gives you nice combinations that you just pick one. But the other two modules gives you the flexibility. So I can take my Basis theme and just put a different color scheme that's built into Core right now, and with an available contrib module, I can change my my fonts.
Well, that actually kind of gets into what I wanted to sort of ask about in the context of a design meeting is what are those general wheels that get turned, the parameters that get set in a different theme. I mean, certainly there's obvious things like colors and fonts, but there's also like spacing decisions and things like that. So I, as I've said all along, like I realize that the part of this feels like it's documentation, like that these questions could be answered if the answers are there when people have the questions. And that's actually what I think like the last mile of ready to wear is writing a doc like, okay, start with these, and then here's the things you want to do, and I'm trying to come up with like what are those things you want to do. So having some presets basically, and I mean that's been one of the proposals, to have like a preset system where you can have these choices, but this is the closest I found to like a preset system that I could that I could create.
Okay.
Okay, so I kind of side slid into there. What I think is the last mile of ready to wear is I think there's enough usable themes kicking around at this point, and the rest is finishing up sort of like the demo region, combination of style guides and sample content, and a little mini one pager on how to theme. Set these. So I'm looking for like reference materials if I can find them. But I don't know if they exist that are as concise as kind of what I'm looking for. You ask questions on the internet and you tend to get like far more complicated answers you tend to get complicated answers to simple questions. So you're trying to figure out how to package simple answers to simple questions.
Okay. Well, do you have anything else on ready to wear besides that part that you want to talk about? Because it's 2:00.
Yeah, I know. Nope. I'm done. Are there more agenda items?
Well, we have a whole agenda full of items, but I don't think we need to talk about them all. Does anyone here, Phil, you had ideas you wanted to share with us? Do you want to cover those quickly?
Yeah, one idea. So with theming, personally, I like to put inline CSS or come into a block that's got the class field and be able to put classes in there. That way, it lives with that particular block. Or like on views, I'll just create a text area field and then put actual inline CSS inside there. Or as opposed to putting everything inside the actual CSS file. Yes, I know it's faster, but I've just learned over the years that when I change from one theme to another, I don't want to have to go try and figure out what was in the old theme of trying to create the grid on my view through Flex. And so, it's just, I'll just put all of that into the view itself. That's something that I've always kind of wished, even going back with Drupal, is that there was more inclusion with being able to do some of the styling. And I think there's a little bit of stuff going on right now. For example, I think the blocks already have the ability to add some IDs and some classes to them. I would like to see that extended out a little bit further, though. So throughout, all of core, but then extend that to a page where it basically says, here's a page that shows where you've added all of this stuff. That way you don't have to go back and try and go, I cannot figure out where in the world I added this information to cause this styling. This one page basically says, hey, you've added styling to all of these areas. Oh yeah, I need to go to that block. That's the block I'm having problems with. Okay, so it's on there. So that's one idea. Another thing, I don't know if this is going to be in UX, if it's going to be part of core, or if this is going to be a contrib idea. Mini panels with Drupal, that's something I'd like to see happen with core or with backdrop. The ability to put blocks into a container, a block container, and then be able to do styling on that container. So have your ID and have your class. Its main function is just to house other blocks. This comes in really handy with themes like Bootstrap, where you want to come in and you want everything to line up. So instead of applying all of your Bootstrap classes to every single field, you apply it to the container, and then everything inside that container just fits the way you want it to fit. So
we
what's
already
that?
have that.
I have a hack for that for Backdrop. So I've been using Document's copy blocks module, which
What's
also is called copy blocks.
Copy blocks?
Yep. And then you can also copy regions. And so I'll set up one layout that has a region that has all the blocks that I want in a block. And then on the other page, I'll place a block that's a copy of the region from my demo template. You can even leave the example region disabled.
Okay. And I don't have enough experience yet digging into all the different modules that are available for Backdrop to know what is available, what isn't. So some of this may just be a matter of, hey, is this a thing? And okay.
I want that too.
Have you checked the ability to add classes to the actual regions, like with core? Would that help you? Because the main button in each region is add block, but that's a drop button. So you can click that and there's configure region. And then it says HTML element for inner wrapper. And the default is no wrapper, but you can set that to a div, nav, aside, or section. And right below it, it allows you to specify class for that wrapper.
So technically use the region itself. I'd have to kind of look into that.
Yeah.
And see if I can work that into my workflow of things. But
yeah.
Okay.
Try to configure the region and you'll find it's pretty, it's the only settings that regions have currently in core.
Okay.
The copy blocks module is one that I think provides some really useful features that I didn't even know about till a few months ago. I was making requests in the issue queue, and finally someone said, well, we've got a module that does that. And I had no idea. And what I'm trying to raise is the question of, are there other modules like that do really useful things that just are underappreciated? And how do we expose those? Like, let people know these are some modules you really ought to check out, because I don't know, maybe that should just be a blog post, or maybe that's
we should do a video, we should do a blog post, we should get this on Module Mondays.
So for the project installer specifically, we have the project browser, we have the issue of promoted projects, but that's for things that, or the idea was that we would reserve that for modules that are planned to be included in core, like references, so that we get more people. It's like our equivalent of experimental modules in D8. So instead of us having modules there and then changing our mind and say, oh, we're going to remove that because it doesn't fit core. We decided that it doesn't fit core, and then messing with people having a dependency of that. What we said is, like, we have the project browser. What we can do is we can promote projects that need attention. Now, what you're referring though is people would need to know that when they visit the manage block page. So we need a way to expose block-related, very popular block-related modules there. I think I've seen this is related, I think it's Doc Wilmot's idea that we add more entries in the .info files, so that we support things like, besides dependencies, we have a recommends within the info file of the module. We have a recommends or extends, which actually points to even contrib modules. How we expose that to the interface, I don't know. But the ideal place for things that are really popular would be an info message at the top of the manage block page. And if we have dismissible messages, that would be easy, because we would say something like, hey, this module exists, it's very popular and does that, that, and that. And if people don't like to see that message again, they just click the X button and it never shows again. But yeah, there's underlying things that we need to figure out first, like implement the switches, and then we can use them.
Quick question: who's kind of head over maintaining the b.org site itself?
An interesting question. There are a handful of us that have access to it. Greg has been really good about doing content. BW Panda and I have been working on random things as they come up.
All right. So real quick, I just went out to go find that copy blocks. If you do word for word copy blocks, it doesn't show up.
How we fix this?
So I think the search might need a little bit of love. So I'm just kind of bringing that up as.
Yeah, it's an old issue we're aware of.
Okay.
Okay. Although it sounds like we thought we fixed it.
Yeah.
Yes, I thought it was fixed as well.
Yeah, I just tried copy blocks, all lowercase, space and everything, just like it's spelled in there, and it didn't show up for me. If you do copy or blocks, it shows up, but to put those two words together, it didn't like that.
Yeah, you're right.
Why am I laughing? It's not funny.
Did we regress? Did we revert the changes that we made?
No, I think that the changes we made might just not account for more than one word. I might not
For
have
multiple
it.
words. Exactly.
Yes, if you type the exact title of the module, it doesn't show up.
Yeah.
Sorry, didn't mean to make more work for everybody.
No, this is
No, it's
good.
good. So just so you know, there's a separate GitHub queue, GitHub group, which is called backdrop-ops, and it has sub repositories for each site, like for the API side, for the forum, and for the main site. So if you find issues with the main site, there's a dedicated. I'll get you the link and put it in the weekly meeting thing on Zulip, but it's under the ops, the Backdrop CMS ops group, and it's called backdropcms.org, I think, the main.
Right. Yep. I see it there. Okay.
We should probably end this meeting.